Hi everybody and welcome to the Fauxropter podcast. My name's John Dutton.
My name's Bobby Gaucher.
So Bobby, how have you been?
Not too bad, how about you?
I've been alright. I am the person who has chosen the word for today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, although we debated a tiny bit ahead of time, we've saved the main debate for the podcast and the general public.
And I've been told already that one of my points is inaccurate. But I'll bring it up anyways.
You're going to bring it up anyway. And
I can't help it.
It's your right and privilege to do so. So that word is piracy. Okay, so piracy. Now, when we think of pirates, I think that lots of people, they're going to think about Captain Hook in Peter Pan or Pirates of the Caribbean, that kind of thing. And those are popular representations of the kind of pirates that I am thinking about. But as I mentioned in the introduction, there was already a debate about a definition because Bobby thought...
Well, no. Pirates were defined to me as people who raided boats coming from Europe, the big four. So it would be England, France, Spain and Portugal.
I didn't mention any of that, but carry on.
You said around those people, around the 16th century.
I did say China too. They had a very famous female pirate.
They did?
She was kick-ass pirate. She was renowned in Asia for being like the best pirate. Yeah.
I want to know more about that. But I'll read on my own time.
No, you can watch the last special of Doctor Who and find out.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought up, because the 13th century had their own pirates. They were called Vikings. And I don't really see the difference. Yeah, that's where Vikings come from. That's how they got to Canada. They got to Newfoundland.
Yeah, they started a few centuries before that because they got to England in like the 9th century.
And they pirated their way there. They
raped,
they pillaged.
Oh,
and they did actually have a flag behind them.
They absolutely did that stuff, but that's not... They were just invaders. They just invaded and like set up shop there.
But pirates just invade boats.
Yeah.
That's your definition then.
They invade boats, they have wooden legs, they have pirates on their shoulders, and they bury treasure and put X's on maps.
And they drink rum.
They drink rum and they sing songs.
Yeah.
That's what we all know about
them. Pirates' life's for me.
Yes, exactly. But the thing that I wanted to bring up now that we've waffled on for a while is that there's a kind of difference in terms of the narrative only between pirates and, let's say, royal navies, because most of them were royal at that point in history, which is the royal navies were just the sort of head mafia clan in a particular country where they got to like control the narrative and be official. Okay, so they got to be like, well, we are able to, sail off to other countries, steal stuff from there, bring it back. But if a different mafia clan steals that stuff from us on the way back,
they're pirates.
They are pirates and they should be hung, etc., right? In the grand scheme of things, when there's like different boats up against each other in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean or the Caribbean or whatever it is, that they're still basically the same thing. It's still stolen stuff that somebody else is stealing, just like...
Stolen booty, actually.
Booty is absolutely right. And that's not that different from any old den of thieves, whether they be on land or sea, who steal stuff and then some other den of thieves steal it from them, which you've seen in movies and stuff, right?
Yeah, but if you have a royal proclamation, then it's not stealing. It's taking what's rightfully yours.
That's what I was getting at in the beginning, was that they would control the narrative so that they could just say that we're in the right all the time, right? And if you disagree with them, you're going to get your head chopped off or be hung or something like that.
Or be in the gallows.
Or be in the gallows, yeah.
I seem to know a lot more about pirates than I thought.
Yeah. Totally forgot about walking the plank as well.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
The original planking.
I would much rather do that planking than the other one. But also on the point of it, like, pirates are an interesting thing because, like, they're not outlaws. They're not criminals. They're pirates.
Well, they're a special brand of that. Right?
They're seaworthy criminals.
Exactly.
But also I think there's a sense of brotherhood that goes with piracy that we haven't touched on yet. Because, like, the idea that there's a group of, let's say, 20 to 50 men, because it takes a lot of people to run a ship, that come together and decide, you know what? We're attacking that boat and we're taking what's ours. Whereas, like, the Royal Navy gets you involved for a different type of acceptance.
Yeah, and also the Royal Navy was and I'm speaking just about the British Royal Navy, was well known for doing a thing called press ganging, where they would go to taverns, they would get young men really drunk, they would press, I believe this is the case, a coin into your hand, and then be like, "You've just signed up, mate." And then you'd be like blind drunk, and you'd be hauled off to the ship the next morning, and you'd be off, like sailing the high seas for the Royal Navy. And if you tried to escape, it was treason.
Yeah. Or you became a pirate.
And maybe that's why a bunch of people did become pirates, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So the other thing I was thinking about, and you've kind of alluded to it a bit, is there's a big aesthetic difference between official navies and pirates, right? As anybody who has seen Pirates of the Caribbean knows, it's like they get to wear the uniforms, right? The Royal Navy types.
And pirates get to wear cool hats.
They get to wear all cool stuff.
Oh my god, all of it's cool. The flag, fantastic. The shorts, can't get over it.
I mean, were they like the punks of the high seas kind of thing?
I believe they invented punk.
It's like that, isn't it? Really, right? Like, I can imagine that people would join pirate ships for the exact same reasons they joined punk bands in 1977 or something, right?
Probably for the songs. I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. were the pirate sea shanties the original punk songs? That's what we need to know.
If we're going to compare being punk to being a pirate, they have good songs, they have good outfits, they like to drink a lot, and they like to hang out with their friends and go to bed really late.
Yeah. I think that we've kind of hit the nail on the head. So we had all the political stuff about the controlling the narrative and the power structure and everything. But in reality, the main difference is that one of them are a bunch of squares, like conservative, like classical orchestra, and the other is a punk band, right?
Yeah, that would definitely be a way to phrase it. But I think it also, we're missing a strange part of piracy, which would be what piracy is now, which is stealing, right? Like if we're going to look at pirate radio, or I grew up with VHSs where you had an FBI piracy warning immediately.
Yes. So
like when you say piracy and I knew we were going to talk about it, that's where I thought we were going, not to actual pirates.
I see. Right. Well, that's a good point. And it's interesting that they adopted that language then.
Well, yeah, because it's stealing content. But it's, again, like, whose content are you stealing? Why is it stealing? And who's defining?
Who are the real villains here?
Yeah. Like, the FBI warning, like, you can't resell this video, blah, blah, blah. It's like, why? Because only you can make money off of...
That's it.
A super wealthy industry is like, nope, don't steal our stuff. And it goes the same with pirate radio, especially in the UK in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Mm-hmm. That there can only be one narrative.
They were literally on boats, which was... There was a reason to call it pirate radio, but you're right about piracy in terms of, like, stealing content, digital content, or copying onto tapes, because it's true. On my vinyl records, those sleeves from the 60s, 70s say, home taping is killing music. And look at it now. It died. It died. It just never made it.
If only they knew about streaming. Oh, man.
Yeah. Go back in time. If you're a record executive, what would you do? You go back in time and tell them, guys, don't worry about that.
Steal it all. But also, like, it goes into who's creating the narrative, because it starts as early as the 60s and maintains until today. If you're stealing content and repurposing it as your own, and especially if you're broadcasting it, it just means that you're changing the narrative.
Yeah.
So is that what piracy ultimately is? That you're changing a narrative that an authority doesn't want you to? It's almost like you're imposing a non-authoritative narrative. And if you can say that after a few rounds of rum, good luck. That's it.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the most punk message of all.
I agree with you. Okay, this has been far more interesting than I thought it was going to be. I'm sorry. I was skeptical at the beginning, even though it was my word.
It just seems like Vikings also count as pirates.
Oh no,
they have cool outfits.
No.
They didn't really have a home country.
They did,
and they did all of their pillaging on the water.
Yeah, no, none of that's true.
I think it is.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that some other time. Anyway, thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks for having us over.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.